Hi guys, thanks for tuning in. I just wanted to say thank you all so much for liking, subscribing, and so many of you who have watched the fitness video that I put out, which was a real surprise to me actually, because I put that one out. It wasn't really something that I developed the channel to do. I just put it out because it was something I was doing and I was interested in it. I thought other people might be as well. And it's taken me by surprise really, because it's proved to be by far the most watched piece I've done, and it's probably driving quite a lot of the new subscribers, which I'm a new channel, so I'm really grateful to everyone for subscribing. You know, I'm aiming to get to 1,000+ subscribers, which is pretty small in YouTube terms, but it'll be a big deal for me, so thank you very much for that. And with that in mind, I wanted to put out a bit more content about the fitness side of things. It kind of ties into my channel because, you know, none of the gear that I review is of any use if you haven't got a body that's functional. And, you know, the first piece of gear that you should be sorting out is your own body, so that then you can use everything else proficiently. What I wanted to take a look at was the things that we're doing in the gym. A lot of people have the idea that, you know, doing things in the gym to develop muscle or to increase their strength or flexibility and stuff is going to be super hard work. They're going to come out absolutely dripping in sweat. And then there's some other people that I see in the gym that don't really get any results in there, because they just think that if you do some movements with any sort of weight in your hand whatsoever and spend, you know, time in the gym, that's going to equate to some kind of results. And then there's some other people still that go in the gym and think that time equates to results. So they might spend 2 or 3 hours in the gym and they wonder why they're not really getting anywhere. And I see loads and loads of fitness influencers espousing all these like radical training methods and sort of crazy ways of doing things in the gym. And you've got to bear in mind that those guys are selling something, and there isn't much to sell. You know, that if you are really brutally honest about how to develop muscle and how to lose body fat, there isn't really that much in terms of making money as a business for you, because no one wants to hear, you know, the cold, hard, boring truth. They all want beautiful lies and quick methods or exciting, mysterious methods which they think that no one else is going to use, and it gives them some kind of quick route to getting the results they want. And it just isn't the case. So I thought, well, the best way to do that would be to actually take some video of me training in the gym. Now, this is way out of my normal comfort zone. I had to go to the gym quite late at night, so I changed my time, went down there late when there was hardly anyone in there. I hoped there would be no one in there, but there was a handful of people. I'm really not that kind of person that's like an Instagram, you know, gym person and trying to show off. And when I go in there normally, I you know, I sort of pull my hat down and put my earphones in and just get on with my business and leave. I don't really, you know, make a big deal out of it, sort of thing. So I hope you appreciate it. It was kind of an odd one for me. Like I say, out of my comfort zone, but I thought it was important because I wanted to emphasize the importance of how long I train in the gym, the sort of intensity that you're looking for, and what we mean by intensity, and also talk a bit about muscle memory and a little bit about the sort of mind-muscle connection. Those are two terms that you can hear bandied around, and there's some you know, truth to those terms, and I just want to get a bit into that. So I've got these videos that I've made. I'm going to sort of watch them below on the camera, and then as I watch them I will give a little voiceover, and then I can edit all that together and cut that in, and hopefully it will make a video that helps you guys to train in an efficient manner. Like I say, I'm not a personal trainer. I'm not any sort of influencer in the gym sphere. I just am a guy that is middle-aged. I was once a competitive power lifter, and pretty decent one, and I got really out of shape like a lot of middle-aged people do, especially during the COVID lockdown. You know, that was really bad news, because I just decided, instead of setting up anything at home, I just sort of had a couple of years of eating junk and drinking beers, etc. So I got really big, 40-inch waist. Now I'm down to a 30-inch waist and in pretty reasonable shape. So let's get going and we'll start breaking down these gym videos. So I get into the gym. First thing I'm doing, I'm working on chest. So this is all focused on chest today. And the first thing I'm going to be doing is some flies, just to kind of get a bit of a stretch. So you can see there, I've selected a weight that is reasonable for me, that I think I can get about 15 repetitions with, because I'm just easing into the first set. And I'm getting a really nice stretch. And hopefully you can see that I'm squeezing the chest together at the top. I'm doing it in a controlled manner, but it's taking real effort. You can see by my face, so sorry about the facial expressions, but I wanted to keep this real. And you can see that I'm actually making a concerted effort, but I'm finding this set quite easy. So this is the first set of the the day that I'm doing, and I just want to make sure that I'm not going to injure myself and start heavy. So I finished that. I haven't quite got to failure there. Okay, so we're on to the second set, and now I'm using a little bit of a heavier weight. Now I don't want you to focus on the actual numbers on the weights I'm using. That's going to be different for everyone. I want you to focus on how much effort I'm having to make to actually lift the weights. So I see people in a gym and they're like lifting a weight with one hand and texting in the other, or they're, I've even seen people reading a book and lifting weights at the same time. There's no way I could do anything else except lift these weights. So I'm having to focus all my intensity on getting these weights up there, and I'm focusing on getting around 10 to 15 reps if I can. It doesn't matter if I get a few less or a few more. If you get a few more, you can just simply add a bit more weight for your next set, and you can see there, I'm pretty much at failure point. And the important thing about the repetitions, people used to say you have to do 12 to 15 reps to grow muscle, and you have to do less reps to get strong. It's true that low rep counts help you get stronger, but in terms of repetitions for growing muscle tissue, that really has been disproven. There's been a couple of really good studies on that, one of which was based in the American prison system. The guys in there in some of the high security prisons were stopped from using any sort of heavy weights, and were just doing high repetition calisthenics with like their body weight, or they were using very light weights that they had garnered from picking up bits of kit that they had or whatever, and they were doing really high reps, hundreds of reps, and it showed that they had just as much success in hypertrophy and growth of muscle than people that were working in gyms and doing in the sort of 12 to 15 rep range. So in terms of growth of muscle, the reason I would normally stick in that sort of 10 to 15 rep range is time. So what I don't want to be is spending 3 hours in the gym. And I spoke about this a little bit at the beginning. Why would we not want to spend 2 or 3 hours in the gym? Well, one thing is it's off-putting for most people, because one of the big reasons people have for not going to the gym at all is because they don't have time in their day. And if every time you go to the gym it takes 3 or 4 hours to get your work done, that's, for most working people who are also parents, forget it. They haven't got that kind of time, and it tends to be sort of young single people that would have that time and maybe do put extra time in at the gym. The other issue with putting such lengthy time in at the gym is that we've only got a certain amount of energy available. We've got glycogen in our bodies, you know, from intaking foods, carbohydrates mainly. So we've got this glycogen running around in our bloodstream and stored in our bodies, that once we've expended all that glycogen, you're into what's called a catabolic state. So the body starts breaking down its own tissue to give itself energy. And unlike what you would think, oh, it's going to start utilizing fat storage, you know, it doesn't particularly like to do that. What it does like to do is break down its own tissue. So you're almost breaking down to build, so you're basically going nowhere. So you want to be in a position where you're using all that glycogen that you've got stored up, and then you stop and rest and go and eat something, because you've then done the work, you've depleted your energy reserves, and you're hopefully not going too far into, you know, breaking your own tissue down and going into a catabolic state. However, although the word anabolic has a lot of like connotations, and people sort of, oh no, you know, it's got something to do with all these bodybuilders and whatever. Those terms, just anabolic is muscle growth, catabolic is a breakdown of muscle. That's all that means. So anyone, you know, whether you're a young man or an 85-year-old lady, whatever you are, you want to aim to train to be in an anabolic state, because I said in the main fitness video I did, you know, whoever you are, it pays to have more lean muscle tissue, whether that's to support your skeletal frame and to stop you getting horrible joint problems and stuff as you get older, or just to facilitate your lifestyle so that you can open cans of beans as you get older, or, you know, get up and down the stairs and stuff like that, get on and off the toilet, get in and out of a chair. All things that you probably take for granted now, but if you don't maintain and retain strength as you age, those are the things that are going to, you know, leave you needing extra help. You might end up in a care home if you can't navigate your way around a house and make your own dinner. So it pays for everyone to withhold as much strength as they can and be in an anabolic state when they train. That doesn't mean you're going to end up like Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I basically continue to do 3 more sets of the those fly movements with the dumbbells. So I did 1 warm-up set and waited a couple of minutes, then I upped the weight a little bit, did the second set, and then I did 3 more. So I did 4 working sets in all. I do a few more working sets to start with on those, just to get a really good stretch, and that helps me not to get injured, because as we get older, injury becomes way more likely. Then I go on to a pressing movement, which is arguably a movement that you can go a bit heavier on, and it's kind of more likely then that I'm going to get injured. So I'm using a heavier weight on this, and I'm in a slightly lower rep range. I'm in about the 6 to 8 rep range category, and then I do 3 working sets of those. Only 3. You can see they're really intense working sets, and I'm failing on the last movement, and failure is really important. It's one of the most important things about weight training. If you go through your entire hour and a half at the gym or hour at the gym and you haven't failed in anything as you did, then you've kind of failed yourself in the gym. That gym workout was nowhere near as productive as it could have been. The reason that your muscles grow stronger and bigger is simply because you've slightly overexerted them, you've micro-torn them a little bit, and then as you sleep over the next couple of days, your body's going to repair that muscle tissue, and it's going to repair it bigger and better than it was before. And it's in tiny increments. So don't think, oh, if I do that, then I'm going to wake up 2 days later and I'm going to have massive biceps or something. It's incremental and it's tiny. And that's also affected obviously by how much testosterone you've got in your body. So younger males will see that happen quicker. If you're an older male, that will slow down because your testosterone levels will be less. And if you're a female, that will be very, very low because females don't have much testosterone at all. And one of the main complaints I hear from ladies about doing weight training is that they don't want to do it because they don't want to end up really muscly. you won't, because you don't have enough testosterone in your body. The ladies that you see on bodybuilding stages have got like that because they've injected testosterone. You know, there's no way on earth that you're going to suddenly end up with like massive great muscles. What you will get is really toned, and all the bits that are sort of hanging around and a bit saggy will firm up. And I think that's probably what most people want. I mean, if you want bits sort of sagging around, then fine. I'm not sort of denigrating anyone for that, but if you want your body to be firm and supple and flexible, then weight training is a good way to go. So once I'd done that dumbbell press, I'm then onto a machine press. This one's a hammer strength machine that you see in a lot of gyms, but a lot of gyms have like Life Fitness type presses as well. The reason I like doing these machine type presses is because they kind of lock you in position a bit. They reduce your chance of injury, and it's good to be able to press maybe a little bit of a heavier weight than you would feel comfortable holding up with the dumbbells on one of these. It just gives you a chance to experiment a little without the risk of, you know, dropping something on yourself. And on this particular machine, it also allows you to change the seating height. So the reason I'm doing two presses is because the dumbbell press I did is pretty much a flat press, so I'm working on the sort of main part of my chest, and on this one it's taking my arms up into this kind of motion, so I'm actually using my upper chest a lot more on this type of press. And all your muscle groups have these sort of defined areas that you're not going to work, you know, all of the parts of your chest by just doing a flat bench. Same as, you know, you're not going to work all of your areas of your bicep by just doing one type of bicep exercise. So we do 3 working sets on that machine bench. Again, each one to failure, looking for the sort of 10 to 15 rep range, but don't get too upset if you get less, if you get more. I think on a couple of these, you know, I only get sort of 7 or 8, something like that. I haven't videoed every single set. I've just done like 1 set of each, because we don't want to be here all day just watching me do endless sets of the same thing. But I just want you to pay attention to how much intensity I'm putting into these, that I would really struggle to put any more effort into it, but I'm not throwing my whole body in it, so I'm not at risk of injury. It's a very controlled movement, controlled back in, everything, you know, nice and smooth. I'm not trying to bash it out there really quick. You know, don't do any jerky movements. Don't get egotistical with the weights and put more weight on than you can actually lift in a smooth and controlled manner, and then try and sort of throw your whole body in and jerk yourself around. Don't use muscle groups to throw weights up that you're not working on. So in these chest things, as I'm pushing forward, I'm focusing my mind, and that's that mind muscle connection I'm talking about, into this piece here, and I'm focusing on that, pushing my arms forward. What I could do to push my arms forward if I wasn't focused is to just use every single muscle in my body, my back and everything, and just throw my body around, and I could still get the weights up, and I could arguably get more weight up. And that's why people do that. They call it like cheating. It's a cheat rep, and people do that because they want to lift heavier weights, but they're not really strong enough to do it in a controlled manner, so they do it by cheating the weights up. You see a lot of people do that with dumbbells, where they're like swinging the dumbbells up and they're virtually using their whole arm and their back and everything like that, whereas a controlled movement would be just that with the bicep, so you can feel the bicep working. And in some of these exercises, you'll actually see me looking down at myself. That's not because I've got some weird problem, it's because I'm looking at that body part, because when you see the body part working, it actually helps you connect your mind to that muscle a bit more. And that's why a lot of gyms have so many mirrors in them. It isn't like people think, oh, it's because they're full of narcissists and they're all obsessed with their own bodies. There might be some truth in that. I'm sure there are plenty of narcissists in gyms, but the reason that I like to use the mirrors is so that I can focus my mind on the muscle and I can actually see the muscle working. And if I see it working, I'm like, right, I'm locked in then. And that's where you get this sort of muscle memory from, that once you get used to feeling that muscle working in that exercise, when you next go to the gym, you kind of got that memory of it, and it's locked in the mind, and you can do that exact same exercise again and get a really good workout on that muscle. If you don't ever do that and you're just going down there, you're just basically making the movements and you're never really working the correct muscles. You're just kind of having an all over workout. So it really pays dividends to concentrate on the muscle group you're working. So I've done 3 sets on that machine press, and now every other time, so I go to the gym, work out 5 times a week. Every other time I go to the gym, so I sort of miss a day and then hit abs, and I do 2 ab exercises. This one is arguably my least favorite exercise of all. It's the hanging leg raise, and you can see there, very controlled, nice and slow. You don't want to be kicking your legs up. Again, I'm thinking about my abs when I'm doing this, and I'm raising my legs using my abs. So I'm imagining that I'm hinging in the middle, you know, of my body and bringing my legs up with that middle hinge, rather than using my leg muscles to kick up, because I could probably do about 50 reps kicking my legs up in the air, but I can only do 10 to 15 reps if I'm just hinging myself with my abs. And you can really feel the abs working when you do that, and they almost burn. So you'll know when you're doing that correctly. And it's not about showing off doing, you know, how many reps you can do. It doesn't matter if you can do 2, as long as you feel them working, because then your muscles will get bigger and stronger in that area, and the next time you come down, you're going to do more than 2. So it's real simple, you know, that doing it properly gets you the results you want, and showing off and trying to get as many repetitions as possible is not going to get you long-term results. And that's what I see a lot of people doing in the gym, especially young males or even middle-aged males having a sort of midlife crisis type of moment and going down there and trying to compete with all the young guys. You know, you don't need to be doing that. Just concentrate on what's best for you. And if you're paying money and paying your own time to go to the gym, at the least you want is to actually take workable results back home with you. You'll also notice that none of this is pretty. You know, I'm not in there looking pretty. My facial expressions are, you know, not great. When you see all these influencer people walking around in gyms and they're all dolled up and they've got all their top Gymshark gear on and they're smiling and, you know, their skin looks fantastic. You know, that isn't why people should be going to the gym. That might be why they're, you know, that's great for their marketing and that's why they're there. But realistically, if you're actually, you know, getting on with your training and doing it properly, all that stuff doesn't matter. You're just there to get the work done. So we do 3 sets of that hanging leg raise. I think I got 2 lots of 15 and then 12 for the last set. And then straight into some of this cable work again for abs. So I'm kneeling down, I'm grasping a rope handle on the cables behind my head, and then I'm again hinging in the middle, and I'm really concentrating on feeling my abs pulling that weight down. So that cable is attached to a stack of weights. You can basically put a pin in and control how much weight's on there. So, you know, your first set, get a feel for it, but you want to be aiming, I think I do about 20 reps on this. And on that, I do 3 sets as well. So have a break in all these different exercises. I'm just breaking for between 1.5 and 2 minutes between each exercise, and just sit there. I try not to go on my phone when I'm at the gym, because you can easily you know, get wrapped up in something on your phone or get into a text conversation or something, and then you end up spending 10 or 15 minutes between your sets or reps or whatever. And you actually just add loads of time to the gym, so you end up spending 2.5 hours in the gym when you could have been out in an hour and a half. And then once you get home and you've done your, you know, you've had your meal and stuff, then do what you like, go on your phone, chill out and answer your texts, whatever. But I would suggest probably not doing that in the gym. I keep my phone in my pocket and just put my headphones in normally and listen to some music or listen to a decent podcast while I'm training. It's really useful to get into the zone. You can see on my facial expression I'm not Mr. Smiley in the gym, because to get that level of intensity you've really got to get into a mindset. Everyone does that in different ways. You know, I generally think about people trying to kidnap my beautiful little dog, and that makes me really angry, and then I can get my sets done with like full intensity. You might have other things that make you angry. That works very well, anger and intensity. Other people get that intensity from like uplifting music, so they might listen to something that really gets them going and makes them feel powered and pumped up, you know, and full of energy. What I don't find helpful for getting into that zone is having nice chats, talking about the weather, you know, all the sort of like hairdresser talk that people do in gyms. So that, oh, how are you today? Oh yeah, my kids are all right. Oh, how are yours? Are they doing well at school? Leave all that outside, because it's all very nice, but that isn't the right mentality to be focusing on intense training with. And again, you're going to half-ass some of your training, and you're going to not get the results that you deserve to be getting while you're in the gym. So to finish off the workout, I'm onto the cable machine, and I'm just doing some flies here with the cables, and I'm doing them lower down, you'll notice. So we talked a bit about working different parts of the chest. I'm trying now to work the lower part of my chest by just bringing my arms down slightly when I'm working the cables. I like cables to end with, because you're pretty much expended in terms of energy at that point. So the cables, you have to keep them pretty light, because they're really difficult to move with any sort of serious weight on. And it's just a kind of nice exercise to finish off with. You can get a nice stretch, really nice and controlled, and I generally go for about 15 reps when I'm doing the cables. 3 sets on that, and that's it. That's the workout done. So after that, I have a post-workout shake. So very few supplements I recommend, but I do recommend shakes, whether you're having vegetarian protein, vegan protein. I just have straight whey concentrate and 80% whey concentrate protein. I've slung links up before. I can stick a couple down there for guys in the UK, but any sort of whey protein will do. And then I have some powdered carbohydrate with it. I have a cream of rice, and I have 2 scoops of that, which equates to about 50 grams of carbs in there. I've also used powdered oats, and that's one of the only times where it's actually decent to have these highly processed carbohydrates like powdered oats and things like that, because your body has burnt all its glycogen reserves, and to stop it going into that catabolic state, you're going to add some carbohydrates in there that are really, really quick to get into the body and get in through your digestive system. That's why I'm a proponent of shakes, because they're so easily digested and absorbed. They don't hang around in the body long, so they don't constitute a meal, but they're just enough to get you, you know, stop you being catabolic as soon as you come out of the gym. They taste really nice. They're a kind of little treat to have after you've been training, so pick a flavor that you really enjoy, and then once you've had your shake, you can drive home. You know, you're a little bit satiated. They should have brought your blood sugar levels up, so you're not going to be driving home feeling all woozy and horrible. And then when you get home, it's time to eat again. And I've just added my meal at the end that I prep up when I get back from the gym, which is, you can see me blending it up. I'll chuck the video up there. It's 3 eggs, And then I've made some of my own barbecue seasoning. The reason I make my own is just because I don't want to have a huge salt intake, and a lot of the seasonings that you buy off the shelf have loads and loads of salt. It's always like high salt because salt's nice, and you know, it's a good way of selling things, to add salt, the same as people add sugar to foods to sell them. All I did was look at the back of an American barbecue seasoning. I think it was Schwartz Spice that make it. Had a look at the ingredients, and I just bought all the ingredients separately that they listed and just didn't put salt in there. So I just made my own. It actually works out, you know, a hell of a lot cheaper than buying those tiny little bottles. The small bottles are about £1.75, you know, a couple of dollars for a tiny bottle, which I'd get through in like 3 days. Or I can make, for about £5, I can make a massive coffee cup full of barbecue seasoning, and it lasts a hell of a lot longer, and it tastes awesome. I put some smoked paprika in there and some smoked dried chilies, and it's really, really nice flavour. So mix that in, then some more powdered oats that I mix in there. So I put in about 40 grams of powdered oats, mix that in with the eggs, and then a bit of olive oil in a pan, and just make that into an omelette or a pancake type thing. Cook it on both sides, and you can see once it's cooked, nice and brown, nice and golden. And I normally just have a bit of salad garnish with that, and a bit of balsamic vinegar sprinkled on. You could arguably also make a sweet version if you wanted, so you leave out the barbecue type seasoning, and you just put a bit of Splenda in there, and then you could actually make up a little bit of thicker whey protein, so just a bit of whey with a touch of water, make that into a thicker, creamier mix of whey, and just tip that over the top. So you know, you could have a banana flavour or something and end up with like a banana pancake if that's your thing. Great. But you really need that, you know, within about half an hour to 3/4 an hour of working out. And those claims are substantiated by you know, studies. There have been multiple studies on post-workout food and carbohydrate consumption and consumption of protein shakes, and they all showed without doubt that consumption of protein shakes and carbohydrates post-workout was greatly beneficial, and the groups that did that grew more lean tissue than the groups that did not. And that is probably because you're preventing yourself from being as catabolic and breaking down muscle tissue straight after workout. And also, if you don't eat anything after workout, you can feel pretty dreadful, and that can put people off going to the gym altogether. So I hope that gave you some food for thought. What I really wanted was to demonstrate the intensity of the workout, and that goes both ways. You know, I wanted to demonstrate that you can get in and out of the gym pretty quick, and overall I didn't spend a huge amount of time. I was probably in the gym for like an hour and 10 minutes. But when we talk about intensity, I'm not coming out of the gym, you know, wringing wet and falling on the floor. The intensity is in those short gaps when you're actually lifting the weight, and then you've got to be hyper focused to lift those weights to your maximum ability, not so much that you're going to injure yourself. So like I said, controlled, good, slow movement, but absolute intensity, and that's going to really pay dividends for you. I'll probably do another of these. I might do another one on a different workout. Let me know in the comments if you want a back workout or a leg workout or something. I'm also going to do one on supplements, because a lot of people are into their supplements and they want to know what works, what doesn't. So I'll do one on supplements that I think do work, supplements that I've used that work, supplements I think that are absolute nonsense, a few that work that were banned, and we'll talk about the whole industry in general. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great day. Take care. Bye bye.